that very much. Okay, so we're good to go, right? Thank you again. So, Shaq, you're up. I'm going to introduce you first. Would you just like me to call you Shaq?
Sure, you can call me Shaq. My real name's Lawrence Wayne Shackelford, but everyone at school calls me Shaq. I've been at SAS for about, this is my 7th year. I've been doing Catalyst in a few iterations alongside a few other people in the room, Martin especially, who's a Catalyst veteran. Yeah, looking forward to working with some of the students this year and with you as mentors, potentially.
Excellent. Martin, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Martin Williams. This is my 12th year now at SAS, and I think my sixth year with the Catalyst program.
Excellent. And Mr. Booth.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'm the newcomer. This is my first year at SAS and my 2nd semester with the Catalyst program.
Excellent. And Shireen.
Hey everyone, my name is Shireen. I'm the community specialist. So I have been, I really thank all of you for receiving my emails and receiving my calendar invites and all that stuff. So I'm the one who liaises with not only Catalyst, but a few of the other programs across high school and a little bit of middle school as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to work with all of you. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. And my name's Jennifer Norman. This is my 5th year at Singapore American School. And this is my 2nd year teaching Catalyst. And I also teach computer science. So that's our panelists that we have tonight here joining us. And we are the 4 teachers, along with Shireen, who's our community specialist, who are running or teaching the Catalyst program for this semester. So what we've done is we used to do this presentation in 2 separate Zoom calls. And so what we've done is we've kind of linked them both together. And so really this is to introduce you to the Catalyst program, but at the same time, kind of bring you up to speed as to what our speed networking night is all about, because we're really hoping that you will join us. That some of the things that we present to you tonight are thrilling, daunting, and important for you to get involved. So anyway, we're going to try and wrap things up into just one meeting for tonight instead of just the 2. So some of the things that we're going to talk to you about tonight is what actually is the Catalyst program. We're going to hopefully decipher between a good project and maybe not necessarily a great project that are things that we're not looking for. We're going to talk to you about the 3 pillars of thrilling, daunting, and important, and then why we need your help. And then towards the end of the presentation, we'll talk about next steps and hopefully show you some of the documentation where you can actually become familiar with some of the student web pages and the projects that students have already identified what they would like to work on. So at this time, I think I'll just pass the microphone and the baton there to my coworker, my colleague, Martin.
Okay, yeah, good evening. I'll start just to give you a brief overview of what the Catalyst program is about. It's an independent student project, about 45 hours of class time. It's a graduation requirement, and it ensures that students have the opportunity to immerse themselves in sort of the selection and planning and execution of a project of their own choosing. The scope, by its very nature, the scope of the projects that we have is incredibly wide, and we really do try to support every student in their choice. I think it's very rare that the choice of a project is in some way rejected. Students are not necessarily expected to do a large amount of work outside class. Some do, though, just simply because of the nature of the projects they select.
Go ahead.
So for this project, we're not looking for perfect. We don't want our students to get caught up thinking that they have to have like a final perfect product. We want our kids to take risk. We want our kids to take to explore, to kind of push what they're comfortable with. And we're more interested in them in the process of, you know, they're learning, they're kind of journey through the Catalyst class than what they walk out with as a final project. So it's just something, to keep in mind when you're working with our students, and especially for us when we're talking to our kids, that we're looking for the growth, not perfection.
So Jennifer mentioned some important words there in the beginning, and this has probably been one of the more exciting parts of Catalyst over the last year or so. A lot of conversations have centered around these three words and how they make the Catalyst program stronger. They're kind of based on a resource that I think Martin will introduce a little bit later. And it was something that really resonated with us. We've always wanted Catalyst to be something. I think one of the big things that we always push on kids is, we know this is a graduation requirement. We know you have to do it. Why don't you at least make it fun? Why don't you at least make it something that when you're done, you're not jumping through a hoop, but you in fact can look back and say, hey, I did something that was actually kind of cool that I wouldn't have had the other opportunity to study in my normal curriculum. And I could choose it myself, and I explore the way that I go about that. I can ultimately do my own critical thinking, come up with some new learning that I might have not otherwise had that opportunity, and create something that I'm proud of. There's been many ways that we've tried to phrase that. And I think that this semester we hit the nail on the head a little bit better. Like I said, we didn't author these terms, but they seem to work really well and resonate with the kids. And that's thrilling, important, and daunting. So we'll spend a little bit of time on that and in the class. We already have, in fact, and we're introducing those to you because as a mentor, it's probably a conversation that you're going to want to have with them, because the real idea that we're trying to share with our students is that they're looking toward you as a resource. They're looking toward not always experts. As Paul said, these don't have to be perfect, but they're looking for the voice of experience. And I think that one of the best pieces of experience we can give is the value of these three things and whether or not they're fitting the project. So the idea of thrilling is exactly what it sounds like. Students know that they're not going to enjoy working for an entire semester on something, and then unless they're genuinely interested in it. So we were really hoping that they will harness some genuine interest, some genuine curiosity, something they really want to know about. And if they can manage to do that, then it's going to be a lot more fun for them and probably keep them engaged for the semester. I'm going to jump to the third word, actually, which is daunting, because I think it's the one that actually is probably the funnest to play with in the classroom. We have had problems in the past with Catalyst where, let's say someone really has, for example, I work in a lot of project-based learning anyway. We didn't really introduce what we teach, but I teach film production and filmmaking at the school. Kids often find that thrilling. It's fun. But the problem is sometimes you get that really great film student who then goes into Catalyst and says, well, I'm going to make a film. Well, the problem with that is, what is the real learning unless they actually define something that's new to them, that's maybe unknown? We talk about learning edges and kind of stepping to that edge and needing to maybe step over a little bit. What are the limits to my learning? What do I need to know? So we want it to make their hands sweat a little bit. We don't want this to be readily available, easy. It's not a simple yes or no question. They should have to investigate. They should have to talk with others. They should have to learn. Okay. So make sure that it's daunting, a little scary. If they're already good at it, they won't remain engaged and it won't be fun. And finally, important, it sounds like a simple term. We tend to redefine it and looking at kind of external value. Obviously, if it's thrilling to them, there's an internal value. They're excited about doing this, but we want it to be important to someone outside of them. And that's where you can get into the bigger questions of, are you actually providing a service for the community? Are you serving the world? Are you contributing to the greater good? We're not expecting these kids to change the world or cause cures and solve for social problems. But it's really nice when they know that the good will be seen by other people and actually have a little bit of an effect outside of them. So those three words we really want to kind of focus on, and hopefully these are words you'll hear again if you work with students, because they'll talk about them. So we wanted you to just understand where we're coming from and those three pillars.
All right, thank you. I think I'm going to go with it's me.
Yes, it is. Why do we need mentors, Jen? Why do we need mentors?
We need mentors. We need a lot of help here. We've got 120 students this semester. And so with only 4 teachers, this is daunting in itself, right? And some of us are teaching multiple sections. And so I'm just going to kind of naturally pause right here. And I just want to invite my colleagues that are on the call here If you would monitor the chat, and if it's worthy of a question that we need to answer, but we do have a natural break coming up here in a couple of slides, so we can pause with some of those questions, but if they can be answered in the chat, by all means, feel free to respond to those questions. But we do have 2 Q&As kind of built into our presentation. So why do we need mentors? We need mentors because we want to encourage students to work with an adult on this project. So again, as Shaq was telling us, it's not necessarily an expert in the field, but it's really about being a coach, about being a listener, about probing these students to think a little bit deeper about their project. And so over the years, what we have found out is just asking somebody to be their mentor is daunting. And with a class that's already packed with numerous skills and skill sets that need to be taught, one of them that really needs to be taught is communication and how you talk to an adult. And so over the last year and a half, instead of asking kids to go out and find their own mentor, we're actually bringing the mentor program to the students. And there's a couple of reasons why we decided to do that, but our number one reason is child safeguarding. We really want mentors in the program who are already invested in the SAS community, who probably have a little bit more interest in seeing the students succeed, along with seeing the program succeed. And so we've also found out that students that do work with a mentor, their projects are a little bit more robust. And they actually do dive in a little bit deeper, and they build those skills of communication, and they build those skills of critical thinking a little bit better than students that do not seek outside mentorships. So overall, in the last couple of years, we have found that this is really, really an important part of our program. So I'll move forward just a second here. And
Lovely. And thanks, Jen. And I developed that by echoing some of the things Jen said there is on our end, the guidelines we give to students are, we encourage students to think of themselves as project managers. And so they're reaching out to you for feedback, research, sometimes validation. And so your role may not necessarily be in the area of your professional expertise. You tend to find that you become more a thought partner or an advisor, even helping them in terms of their organization and planning. And in that respect, we ask you to sort of focus on the learner and the learning. And really, this may sound a little bit strange thing to say, but students are very good at telling you what their GPAs are and what their scores are. But when one of the toughest questions I think I've learned to ask a student is, what do they think their qualities are, their qualities as a student, and how do the projects they select in some way reflect those qualities? And it's surprisingly, it's a very difficult question for many of the students to answer. It really is, because they're so used to defining themselves in terms of grade point averages. And so, we really just ask you to be curious, lean in, listen, and just reflect back what you hear. And I just want to stress the last point is that we're never going to ask you to be involved in the assessment. That's not your role at all. But you're really there just as a sounding board. Mm-hmm. And a couple of the other point that Jim mentioned earlier is just in terms of child safety. If you do establish some sort of relationship with one of the students and move forward, you're able to meet the students either on Zoom or in person. And all that we ask when those meetings happen is if you could just keep us actually informed, in the loop in terms of email communication. We may not attend the meeting, but the child safety protocol ensures that everyone knows about it. And I think if you plan to meet outside school in some form, we'd like you to loop the students' parents in. Again, the parents are not necessarily going to be present, but they do need to be aware that it's actually happening.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So this kind of wraps up the first part of our presentation, where we actually just kind of give you the nuts and bolts of what the actual Catalyst program is. Can I just pause for a second? Is there some questions that we need to be answering? I am not monitoring. Yes.
Ms.
Go
Knox
ahead.
has a question.
I think, yes, there's a few questions. I think both Diane and Roshni are asking, they need more context for what Catalyst is. I think I can just try to explain that. So the students can choose any project under the sun, be it from arts to sustainability to creating a video about developing a drone or learning how to play guitar or stand-up comedy, whatever.
Are they-
Yeah.
I think it's very basic. I don't have a high school kid.
Yeah.
So are they juniors or seniors? Which
So yeah,
semester
all,
do they do it? How much time do they give to it? Is it
Okay.
graded? What's the final output? Like really, I'm sorry to be asking such basic
no, don't
questions, but
worry.
yeah, I can tell most people are familiar, but where you guys jumped in was a couple steps ahead for me. So
Okay.
how old are the kids and what is their final outcome supposed to be? And how much time do they put to it? And do we meet on campus or over the phone?
Okay. The students are juniors or seniors, so they can only take it in a junior year or senior year. It's totally up to you whether you want to meet on campus or on Zoom. It doesn't. I mean, it's really up to your flexibility in time as well as the students' flexibility. Sorry, the other question that you have?
I think it was about product as well. And maybe I can address that. Yeah, the product one is
Sorry, work output.
Yeah, output. That's one of the things the students spend just at this moment. We're just in that process of identifying, going from they've identified topic areas they're interested in. Most of them identify some sort of a goal. And then in the coming weeks, we'll start to sort of define what that might look like in terms of output. And it's very, very varied. It really is. And again, because the focus is on the process, and we spend quite a bit of time working with the students to see how they can best capture their learning. And that will be very, very different from one project to the next. So, you know,
That's cool. I like gray area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very great.
you asked a
Very
little bit about grading. Speaking of grading, it is graded, and some of the things that Martin just referred to are in fact graded. The process is a big part of that. It is a graduation requirement, so everyone, for the most part, goes through it. We're starting to entertain a few other courses that are very project-based in nature, sometimes in the arts, that are allowing them to kind of do the same type of process, but maybe forgo the Catalyst requirement. But some kind of project-based learning is now a graduation requirement, and there are grades, and those grades, we won't get into the weeds of the grade breakdown, but let's just say that yes, they're producing a product, but ultimately they need to prove their learning. Sometimes that product really explicitly shows the learning. Sometimes they might just come to you at the end with this incredible ceramic vase and just saying, this is my Catalyst project, without the context, without the presentation, without the research, without all the reasons that they really needed to study ceramics and this particular style of ceramics and how it's linked to their maybe an ethnic background, and they really wanted to know about this and it was a genuine curiosity. That's where the strength and the power comes in. So there is a product, but process is a big part of the grading as well. And as Martin said, there are many different levels in which you can soar in this program. Some kids soar through incredible reflection and really deep thought on the learning they've done. Some people just really create incredible projects, and their amount of output is very impressive in what they actually produce, and just because they really enjoy doing it. Some kids teach classes, and it's really more about the extension to the community and the service. Some people really have that service-minded influence within their project, and it's really about it's not what they're creating that you can actually, it's not tangible, but it's a service. So it is hard to get your head around because in the future that we can actually make some available of maybe what it would look like, different Catalyst projects, because they can all be so different. And I think we kind of want to keep it that way, because ultimately it's that idea of, is it thrilling? Is it daunting? Is it important? Is it unique to you? Does it fit you? And is it something that's going to be memorable when you graduate, and probably not just something you did for that grade, which is probably the least important thing for us.
Can I have a minute, please? I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Charu. I'm a new mom, and I really like this Catalyst program, and Deanne and Shireen mentioned to me about it. Only one thing that I wanted to check was that I'm an economics teacher. I mean, I have worked in a school earlier, and now I work from home, but I just teach economics grades 9 to 12. So she told me that, I could be a part of the program, and I really like your program. The only thing is that how, as an economics teacher, can I help? I was a bit like, how to go about it and how does it work? And will you keep me posted as to, when the program is starting? And because I do want to be
Now.
part of the PTA community. Now, I'm there.
Well, no, I was like, can I jump in on that? Because I actually think what you bring up is a really good point, and it's a big misunderstanding with both mentors and the students, because the students might come up with a project, and let's say that they want to actually work with some kind of project that's going to develop language learning in indigent populations, or they go through this thing and they want to do it actually through a video web series. And they think, oh, so I have to find a mentor that's actually done this exact same thing. Absolutely not. Just adulting gives so much more experience. Just the fact that you've actually gone through a life and a career and education, and you can already see the potential pitfalls in a project, or is this really important enough? Is this really going to have an effect, an external effect? Do you really want to do this? Do you know what you're getting into? Were you aware that what you're trying to do is illegal? So basically, there are so many reasons why you, as just an adult and a voice of experience, can add so much. So if you're thinking, oh, my specialty is economics, what if there's no one in economics?
Yeah.
There will be some. Well, I can tell you right now, in my class, there were so many people talking cryptocurrency last semester, I could have thrown a lot your way. But the concept is, every single person in this room right now has boatloads of expertise in just problem solving, and just having a career, and just troubleshooting, and just collaborating, and just communicating, and just being that voice of a little bit of reason. Maybe step back. Let's think about this from a bigger picture. So please don't feel like that if you scan the page later and no one is anywhere near your area of expertise, that's a red flag. The kids need to be reminded of that as well, because they're often looking for that perfect fit. And so many conversations they have with adults are really, really rich, with people that are in totally different
definitely
fields.
One thing I can assure, that I have a great connect with teenagers, because last 20 years economics only starts from grade 9, so I wouldn't really comment on how I teach, but I've had great relationships with all my students. In fact, I had people from SAS also coming to me, so I think the connect part is not an issue. Also, I was thinking that anyway on 11th of Feb, I'm going to come for the international fair, because my kids are there. So is it possible to meet one of you, or, just in person,
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Most
how do I
definitely,
go about, where do I come in SAS? It's such a huge school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So Shireen is located in the library, and so you can start there, just like on the second floor. But then we all have our classrooms in and around the library, and we can schedule a time to meet with you. I mean, there's numerous things that we can do to set
So what
that
I'll
up.
do is, I've already written an email to Shireen, and I told her that 11th of Feb, I would like to catch up with anybody who's free and not really bother you. So yeah, so hopefully Shireen will get back to me on that. And and I would love to be a part of any program, or my kids are there. I mean, I teach high school. Economics only starts from grade 9, and my kids are very young. One is in grade 3, one is in grade 7. But, I really want to be a part of the community. And to be honest, I was looking at the various activities where parents could be involved. And Deanne and Shireen just told me that because I teach economics, and, maybe the Catalyst program works for me. That's
Yeah,
what she said. So I said, might as well give it a shot and then.
Yeah.
The big caveat being that I'm also just myself learning, but I had an idea, Charu, there was something worth looking into.
yeah.
But
Thank you so much.
maybe you guys can tell us more about.
Yeah, and actually, I've
Right.
got. I was scanning through our list of Zoom call attendees. We have a few veterans on the call. Actually, we have Jason Coates and Priyam Vada as well. If they want to just do like a one-liner, if you no, not forcing you guys, but just to put some questions and at ease and to kind of sell it. Jason, Priyambada.
They're all talking and saying great things on mute.
No. I would just say that, yeah, I had the experience of working with 2 kids last year in the 2nd semester, and it was great. It was I was more of a motivator and an encourager, I would say, and just guiding them on their ideas. And I think as an adult outside of the SAS faculty, it's just giving them some validation on their ideas and the areas that they wanted to kind of go deeper into. And then my daughter also did Catalyst last semester, so I have that perspective as well as a parent watching a student go through it. That was a very interesting perspective as well. So I'd say, yeah, overall, it's a very rewarding experience. I think it's great to contribute to the students' learning journey at SAS, and I think this kind of independent project learning is really important and it's really valuable for the students going forward. So, yeah, by all means, just yeah, participate.
Thank you for that. I'd just like to piggyback on something Jason said, because I know one of the students that you worked with, and she was shy. And it was very nice to see her come out of her shell, because she was very, very motivated and her project was very, very thrilling to her. And to watch her blossom and come out of her shell and really build those communication skills, but the confidence level just went through the roof of being able to talk about her project, share her project publicly. And it was just so, as a teacher, it was just delightful to see, to watch the growth from the first time she stepped in the class and wanted nothing to do with it, to standing up and actually doing her presentation at the end. So that's the growth that we're really, really looking forward to seeing and developing in these students. So if I can, I'd like to pivot. So we've done a pretty decent job, I think, of answering what Catalyst is. And I think one of the pieces that we have missed is that, part of our core values and part of our learning aspirations are all wrapped up into this class. And so we are working on all of those skills. It's like this one class that takes all of those learning aspirations and takes those core values and kind of wraps it up into this nice, neat little package where kids get to explore, as we've already been talking about, one of the projects on their own. And I know I saw something come through the chat that says, do they work on the projects by themselves? Kind of like, where are they at in the process? And so some of the documents that we're going to be passing off to you, they're in the development stage. And so as a mentor that's going to be hopefully paired up with a mentee, that might be where that particular student is starting, is that, while they're doing the work in class, they may need to be working with an adult on the outside to kind of look and see where exactly they are in the process, and really kind of refine and just to put some finishing touches on some of those opening things before they actually dive into some of that research. So what I'd like to do right now is have us pivot into what we call speed networking. And this is what's going to take place next Monday and Tuesday. And so we've got a couple of slides where we'd like to introduce the process that we go through to pair students up with mentors. And so we'll continue to entertain some questions and hopefully answer those to the best of our ability. Bring Shaq and Paul in.
Next Monday night and Tuesday night, we're gonna have a Zoom, the speed dating thing where half of our students are gonna be in breakout rooms each night, kind of waiting for the mentors to show up and talk to them.
I think
So-
Paul, we probably gotta do it during school time, probably, or we'll see. I'm not too sure. We just need to double check the time.
Okay.
No, it's going to be in the evening.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is the students are going to be in the breakout room and they've prepared like an elevator pitch. And it's actually kind of fun to see them develop what they want to work on for their project. If you had asked them 2 weeks ago, like, hey, what are you thinking about your project? And these are projects that are thrilling to them. And so they'll talk and talk and talk and talk for like 10 minutes to explain one thing. So over last week and this week, we're kind of getting them to practice their elevator pitch, to shorten it down to get to the point about what they want to study or what they want to look into and learn more about this semester. So you as mentors or potential mentors are going to jump into those Zoom meetings or those breakout rooms, talk to the kids, get to know them, ask some questions after they give you your elevator pitch, ask them some questions, and you're going to just try to see if, build a rapport, kind of see if there's a fit with that student, if that project resonates with you, or, the way that student is attacking or seeing that project resonates with you. And then we're going to kind of try to tie together some mentors with some mentees. Shaq.
Yeah, continuing on that, actually, I'm going to bring in a question that was just in the chat too, where we were asking how many students actually opt to have a mentor. And the concept of the mentors, by the way, we're not requiring them to do the speed dating round. And I was joking in the chat that we honestly don't have enough mentors within this group to actually fit them, unless you're all willing to spend your every night of the week mentoring. I shouldn't say that, I'll scare you. Because I also said that the time is not as much as you would think. I think consistency is more important than the total time, to be honest with you, to start early and to continue along the travel. Ultimately, we want mentorship to have an effect on the project. So those students that will often are desperate because they just want to sign off on that mentor because they think they must have that mentor, and they get it like 3 days before the project is due. And then we have to really ask them, yeah, but at what cost and with what import? How did it affect you? So how many will actually find a mentor? We want to recommend that all have meaningful conversations with adults. Whether that person is established as a mentor from the beginning can be touch and go. We don't know. We would like to try to regulate that as much as possible, and for student safety issues, make sure that it's actually clear. We'd really like to kind of vet the people that they're talking to. But for the most part, this speed networking, or speed dating, as we like to call it, activity is probably one of the activities that can especially help those kids that might not have the impetus to reach out and do that on their own. What you can see on the screen right now, it's not fully, it's actually there, but the problem is, if you're affiliated with the school, then you know how weird this semester has started. This is our first full week. In the last 3 weeks, we feel like we've hardly seen these kids. You would think that we're starting out and they already know what they're doing. No, they're just in my last class, we're entertaining their topic and do not have a driving question yet. But the ultimate goal, and we need to do this, our goal is to do this week, even with a lot of kids heading off to IASA sports events, is to try to get people to kind of find something more concrete that they can, not only that they can explore, but to phrase that in the form of a genuine curiosity and a motivation, an intent to act on that curiosity and that research. And that's basically in the form of a driving question, and to talk a little bit about their project. And where they would do is they would actually occupy a web page that you can see there. And it's going to actually give them the ability to kind of publish, hey, what are they thinking? What do they want to do? And why do they want to do it? And who are they? Again, for student safety reasons, you're not going to have a whole lot of close-ups. And I think for the first time in a while, we're only going to use first names because that's a school mandate. But the reason we're doing that, and we might ask to do a little bit of the same with you, not as much, you don't have to write a total bio, but give actually on a list some areas of interest or expertise or things that you would like to talk about. Because if both of us could do a little bit of homework, and us meaning the mentors and the students, and the idea is walk into this mentor or the speed networking round with maybe like 4, 5, 6 students that you've tagged saying, hey, that's an area of interest, or I bet I could say a few things to this kid, or I bet I could actually offer an experience that might be related. And then the reverse is also true. Hopefully they're going to be looking for people that say, yeah, I think this person could have some expertise that would benefit me. So we're trying to set that up. It's going to be a hard sell this week as kids are trying to submit that idea and then also to get it published. But we just want to make sure that the idea of these web pages, they will be up. And if you could maybe take a look, I wouldn't suggest doing that. Like right now they're empty, unless I'm wrong. Maybe some of you have started doing it in your classes. We're not there yet. But the goal would maybe be before that speed networking, basically by the end of the weekend, to hopefully have some information in place that could help you at least start to get a feel for what some of these kids are interested in. So it's not just walking in and being thrown into a room. And by the way, when you do appear in that room and the kids appear in that room, we're going to do our best to try to make sure that the real important thing is that everyone talks to someone, even if it's a bust. It's really important that I think every kid has the opportunity to have to go, you've heard the term elevator pitch. We like to use that a lot because I think there's a lot that kids get out of just confronting a new person and very quickly and very concisely and very eloquently and elegantly stating what they want to do and why they want to do it and how they plan to do it. So that's an important thing for us. So even if it's not a connection, we might ask you as mentors to say, hey, no one's talked to this kid. Will you just go in and see what they're interested in? Because it could mean the world to them and it can boost their confidence.
Yeah, so I'll just piggyback on the actual day of the event. And so thank you for putting the question in the chat there. So what we're talking about is February 6th and 7th, which is next Monday and Tuesday, that we're hoping to do this networking session. And the reason we're separating over 2 separate nights is because we've broken it down by categories. And so depending on when you see the list, in the next couple of slides, I'll show that to you. You can decide whether you'd like to attend on Monday or Tuesday night, just based on the topics that the students have. So this is kind of what it looks like though on Zoom. So we're doing it over 2 nights because Zoom only allows you to do 50 breakout rooms. And so what we do is when the students get on the call, very similar to what we open up all these breakout rooms and the students change the name of their breakout room to their first name and last name initial. And so as a mentor that's on the call, you'll be able to see which child is in which room. And so with the pre-work that Shaq was just talking about, you can peruse the list and you can say, okay, I would like to go and join that room to have a conversation with that student. And so you are free to move in and out of those rooms because we'll open up full control of that. And so you'll go in, you'll have a quick conversation with the child. And, we've been on the main room, most of us. And so the conversations could last 2 minutes. And there's a couple of times where I'm looking at my watch and I'm saying, wow, they've been in there for 10 minutes. That must be a great conversation that's happening at this moment. And so that's why we are suggesting that you peruse through those websites and those lists and those categories that we set up so that you can make your list of 5 or 6 students that you definitely want to talk to. So within an hour, you should be able to have maybe like 5 or 6 conversations. And as Shaq was saying, is that sometimes we see that nobody's had anybody visit their room. Sometimes we go into the room to have that quick conversation so that the child can have practice with their elevator pitch. But other times we might ask you to jump in there. And definitely, like Shaq was saying, you want to ask questions and, really start talking about what their project is. Just some of the screenshots that are here is just what the Zoom room looks like. And then when you're ready to like hover, you just hover over the join button. When you're ready to leave, there's 2 buttons that pop up. One is leave room and one is leave meeting. I'm going to tell you, a lot of people leave the meeting, and that's fine. That means you've just kicked yourself out of Zoom, but don't worry, we're all here and we're just waiting for you to all come back. And so you just rejoin and we just pick up where we left off, and nobody's the wiser. So that's kind of what the day of the event looks like. There is a lot of documentation. I don't want to say a lot, but there's like 2 or 3 documents that we've put together that really spells this out. And I know Shireen is developing and getting those documents ready to go for us. And so we don't want to try and overwhelm, but we just kind of give a brief description as to what this actually looks like for the day of the event. I do believe this might be me. So while we're in the day of the event, this is just alluding back to the slide that Shaq was talking about, is some of the questions that you can ask is around those 3 pillars. And again, really just honing in, helping them identify why their project is thrilling to them, why it's important, and why it's daunting. And again, just, you know, really doing a little deep dive, and actually through your questioning techniques, you're really asking the student to think deeply and critically about why they're choosing this topic. And again, your expertise, your knowledge, your experience, you can also bring that into the conversation as well. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe I can. Thanks, Jen. I could just jump in here, and we want to emphasise that we really do want to support you. I understand. I think this is probably about our 3rd iteration of this now, this mentor process, and we're always looking for new ways to support our mentors. One of those, as the slide here suggests, the framework we use comes from Michael Bungay-Stana. If you're familiar with his work, he's a really well-known coach. We've got these 2 books at school. If either of these books look that they may be of interest to you, just let Shireen know and we can pass them on to you. They're a real easy read. They really are very, very, very easy read. And I think good value. The second thing is that we do have an expense budget. And so, you know, as you're talking with students, if there are courses or resources, books that you feel would be appropriate, then yeah, please reach out to us, and we can make those funds available. And I think the third one is more just about personal support. Some of the questions I was hearing earlier were understandably a little bit apprehensive. You know, what's the program like? What are my responsibilities? Am I going to be responsible for grading? And I think they're all great questions. And you may find that when this evening we close this evening, you still have outstanding questions. And I think reaching out to any one of us, Shireen, and or coming into school, you know, if you'd like a one-on-one conversation at the Shop Cafe, we're between us, one of us be more than happy to sit down and talk to you. We also want, as this semester goes on, we'll offer sort of, I won't call them coaching clinics, but just evenings where we'll leave the Zoom window open here, and you can just drop in and ask questions generally about the program, the process, or even more specific questions about the students that you're mentoring.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just a little bit more of what to expect after we finish this call. We've already informed you that this call will be recorded. So we will give you a copy of this so that you can refer back if you need to, or if you have anyone who might be interested to be in this session, to be part of this program, you can just forward them this email as well. Yes, so and I think we got a little bit of a preview of what a student website will look like. We will have it done by was it Jen? Sorry. Okay, never mind. We will have it all done.
Working diligently on this. We are shooting for Thursday or Friday, and my deepest apologies, but as we know, or we're experiencing, we have just a very weird start to this semester. So
yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So Thursday or Friday, we will have our student websites. However, it may not be the finished product. They are still working on it. But the website is for you to return to and see if they made any progress. Also, I think from that website, it gives you a rough idea of where their projects are headed in towards, and you can like list down a group of 5 to 6 students that you may want to talk to. So it will shorten that, because we only have an hour or so with the students at that point of time. So it will help quicken your process as well. So the speed networking session will happen February 6th, because if you may be interested to work with another group of students, it will be on between 7 to 8 p.m. And on your part as well, as we earlier discussed with Jen, we actually have a page that gives our students an insight of who you are as well. We will be sent together with the email with the recording, and there will be a Google form just with a few questions. Some of the questions are just for the teachers to give to have more detailed, basically to help with the matchups. How many students would you like to mentor? And then some questions that will be seen by the students will be, what are your hobbies? What profession you're in? And if you can drop a little bit of a fun fact, and that would be something that the students will resonate towards.
And I think the fun fact is what sold a couple of partnerships last year. So that I would definitely highlight that. So on Monday nights, here are the topics that the students will sort of place themselves into. So we've got psychology, business, cooking, science and technology, and what we're calling the makerspace. These are projects where the students might be working with metal or wood, but they'll be working with Mr. Harvey, Mr. James Harvey in the makerspace. That'll be an extra person that they would be working with. So these are some of the topic categories for the speed networking on Monday. And so then these are the topic categories for Tuesday. So social justice, communication, writing and speaking, which brings up, we had a couple of books written and published as projects last semester actually. Anything in the athletic field, media, film, and then art or design. So that's how we've broken down the 2 nights. If a student has like a conflict, I don't want to say that all of these will be the way they are. We're going to try and work with the student as well. So if you see somebody from the psychology field appear on Tuesday, the 7th, it's because that child probably had a conflict and Tuesday night was the only night that they could do it. So we're going to try and minimize that as much as possible. But those right now, those are the categories. And so when you receive the student links to their web pages, you're going to see them broken down into these categories to help you out a little bit more in choosing.
So I just had So I just had a look at these categories, and I like on Monday 6th, I would like to choose cooking, because besides economics, I have a passion for cooking. So then when you send the link, then I should just go ahead and kind of, select that, right? Monday 6th cooking.
You would peruse through that list, the cooking column, yes. And then you could start looking at some of the projects that students have identified in the cooking category. So It could be building a recipe book, writing a recipe book, creating a YouTube channel. I mean, I'm just talking off the top of my head right now, but anything that could fall into that category is the way we've kind of identified some of these topics. Okay. Important dates. Go ahead, Shireen, or is this me? I don't remember. I think we're kind of like getting towards the end.
I can do it.
Yeah.
It's okay. So we just wanted to give you a lot of questions are about how much of a time commitment you might be required to have. So I will send you a copy of all these important dates that will be you kind of have to take note of. The February 6th or 7th is the most, I would say, the most beneficial for mentors. But that being said, if like you are unable to make those days or whatever, we are still able to accommodate. As mentioned, we have a lot of students and not many mentors, so we are okay to accommodate any point of time, but this is just a rough idea of the days that we like, the check-ins and when you should complete your getting to know form and all that stuff. So it's just a rough idea.
Absolutely. All right, so I think we're kind of here at the end. And so on my part, Shireen, I'll pass this off to you, but on my part, I just want to thank everybody that's on the call for joining us tonight. As Shireen has said, this is being recorded, and we'll give you the link to this recording so that you can watch it again. As Martin has said, we would be more than willing to meet you on campus and meet you at, Shock Cafe, have a coffee, discuss the program a little bit further.
Anytime, that'd be great.
Yeah, but Shireen, I'm going to pass this off to you to kind of just discuss and wrap up our next steps as to what people can expect again on later on this week.
Yeah. So just to answer Roshni's question, so if you guys can't make it on both days, that's where the student website comes into play. So you can just drop I think we will, once we finish the speed networking, we will list down the students that attended, and the students will also choose the mentor that they would like to work with as well. So that will help us find the perfect match. We can always just send you the Google form, Roshni, and then you can list the students that you want to work with, and then we will move on from there. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so Shireen, thanks so much. So what I understand is that if I'm not able to make it, and I was just checking my calendar, and it looks like I've got calls on both days, like literally exactly at that time. And so I'm just wondering, so then the process works in this way, that I fill the Google form about who I am, and then I also like list the students there. I mean, the ones.
So it's the getting to know form is it's separate. The listing of the students that you would like to work with will happen after you finish your speed networking session.
Right. And if I'm not there for the speed networking session, then I need to share the names of those students with you.
Within the Google form, we will submit the list of students.
Another Google form.
Yes, another Google form. That's right.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So
sorry.
You have the brief of this website. The projects will be on the website, and you can kind of like talk from there. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And also, I noticed that we have a few volunteers or who I didn't get a chance to address personally, or invited you. Thank you so much for coming, either through WhatsApp chats or like through the grapevine. If you could just drop me an email with regards to how to best contact you. I think it's best to just have your full name and your email, and then I can just forward you the next steps as well, so you can be part of the thing, so that I don't miss anyone.
I will do that, Shireen. That's the first thing.
Thank you. So Charu, I definitely have you on the list. But if anybody
not
else,
really sure how much I can. Sounds a bit distinct to me, but definitely my mail has already gone to you. So
yes. So if anyone of you who has just joined in by whatever means, just drop me a email. We would love to personally invite you for all the events that we are coming up with, and it will keep me updated so that I don't miss anyone.
Sure.
Yes, does anybody
you won't miss me, don't worry. I'm such a pile on, you won't miss me.
Yeah. And again, we're recording this, so I don't know if Shireen, you plan on is that by request only or sending out a link to it. And we're always looking for other people. As you can tell, we've hinted several times that we have more students than mentors. So if you guys have friends and this is
Sure.
intriguing to you and you're
Pass the
having
word,
coffee
yeah.
with someone saying, hey, there's an opportunity out there, we would love to
Definitely.
share this presentation with them as well. We're always looking for other people that may not have heard about us through other means, and it would be nice to actually to grow this this community of potential mentors. So feel free to get in touch with Shireen if you know of someone else that you think this might be interesting to them.
Definitely, we'll keep in mind, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that,
bye-bye.
oh, sorry. That
So sorry.
concludes,
So sorry.
no, not a problem. That concludes our presentation for tonight, but I know that some people do need to go, and I want to be respectful of time, but we are going to stay on the call I'm going to stop recording, but we'll stay on the call if you do have additional questions. If not, thank you again. I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight, and we are really looking forward to partnerships with you and the great things that are going to happen this semester for our students. So again, thank you very much.
Looking forward. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.